The VD10 is a new mid-range direct drive wheelbase from PXN. It comes with a 12Nm peak torque servo motor. That's not unique, but what does stand out immediately is the competitive pricing, launching at just $369, €399 or £269. Those are the listed prices if you buy directly from the PXN web store. I've posted links below. To go with the wheelbase, I have the PXN WCS-R2 wheel, so we're going to cover this in the review too. The wheel is a separate add-on, but I do believe it will also be sold as a bundled option with the wheelbase offered at a significant discount, so that will be worth considering if you're looking for a more complete package. As always, firstly, I'm going to give you a tour around the product and cover the features, or in this case, the products, as we have a wheelbase and a wheel. Once we've done that, it's then onto the track for the testing and evaluation. The VD10 is a compact unit, the dimensions being slimmer and slightly longer than the Fanatec CSL-DD, a wheelbase you might be more familiar with. Despite the small size, due to the powerful motor inside, it does have some weight to it, coming in at 5.3 kilograms. The extruded outer shell body is aluminium and also provides the surface area to dissipate heat from the motor. The front and rear panels are plastic. For the I/O connections, we have the power socket, the PC USB, and additional inputs for a shifter, pedals, and emergency stop. The sockets labelled extra. The manual refers to them as for additional accessories, so I'm left none the wiser for what specific devices can be plugged into them. Possibly present for future-proofing the wheelbase is my best guess. The pre-drilled M6 wheelbase mounting holes match the Fanatec wheelbase mounting hole pattern. This allowed me to use this Moser bracket, which I also use with other brands that share the Fanatec hole pattern, though I did need to drill through 2 extra holes to fit the rear bolts. Perched on the end of the beefy steering column is this NRG style quick release, the same quick release system adopted by SimMagic and Moser, and like those aforementioned brands, the PXN wheelbase does support third-party steering wheels. And later you will see some recorded footage where I'm running a 3D wrap Votta steering wheel. The wheel plate is an independent USB device and runs a coiled USB cable to my PC. And this steering wheel attached to a quick release without a wheel plate is my preferred setup for rally, along with a separate shifter, of course. The steering wheel PXN sent me, along with the VD10, is one of 3 PXN add-on wheel options available for this wheelbase at the moment. The WCS-R2 features a round 330mm rim wrapped in synthetic leather, stitched all the way round on the inside of the grip. On the reverse side of the rim, we find a series of grooves to aid grip. The wheel plate is a plastic housing featuring an arrangement of pre-labelled RGB backlit buttons, 12 in total. 2 rotary encoders that are also push-button inputs. A 4-way joystick input. Sitting above the branded steering wheel boss is an RGB shift light indicator. These LEDs, and including the buttons, the colours and brightness can be customised in the driver software. We get magnetic shifters and spring-tensioned dual clutch paddles. The materials used are aluminium and carbon fibre. I have a deep dive on the force feedback coming up, that's a little later in the video, but I have to tell you right off the bat, because you need to keep watching this one, the force feedback from this wheelbase is exceptionally good. It completely obliterates all the competition close to this price point, and indeed outperforms a bunch of more expensive wheelbases I've reviewed. The VD10 is really that good, so pay attention, this is something quite special. First, there's some other details I need to get out of the way. I tested this wheelbase in 8 games, and you'll see footage from these titles throughout the rest of the review. I do this to sniff out compatibility limitations, and I found none, though initially that wasn't the case. I wasn't getting any force feedback from Dirt Rally 2 or EA Sports WRC, so 2 EA racing games. I've received this wheelbase well ahead of the launch date, and I have beta drivers, so that could be the issue. PXN told me their software should automatically update the force feedback file in the game folder for you. So that wasn't the case for me, and they sent me the files to copy over manually, and that instantly fixed it. Just in case, I've included a download link to those files. As for other EA racing games, it's the same kind of deal. The force feedback file in the game folder needs to be updated for a wheelbase. So I'm just posting the link to their support page in the description just in case you need it. You may not, but it's just useful as a reference. Otherwise, all the other games worked out of the gate, including Forza Horizon 5. That's a particular title that, unless it's a Logitech Thrustmaster or Fanatec wheelbase, compatibility is more of a gamble. But no such problem here. So I'm going to give the VD10 a pass for game compatibility. The software control panel for the wheelbase covers the usual important adjustments, such as the wheel angle, force feedback strength, inertia, friction, damping, etc. The Advanced tab opens up a few more settings. The filter level and force feedback detail are useful ones you don't want to miss. Filter level will smooth out high frequency effects if they feel too sharp, and feedback detail can amplify the volume of effects if they need a boost. The software comes preloaded with presets for a bunch of games. This is useful to get you started. You can also save your own game presets. What I'd recommend is you start with the ones provided, and if you need to, tweak them and save them to create your own personalised settings. Use the game launcher to run your games to automatically apply your wheelbase settings. Otherwise, you will need to manually select the settings from the preset menu list I showed you just previously. I have my monitor sitting on the wheelbase, and the compact size of the VD10 means it's just at the right height and slotting very nicely within my SimRig setup. The build quality of the wheelbase is as solid as it appears. Metal enclosure and a beefy steering column. In use, it comes across as hardware that's built to last. It's sturdy and exactly what you want from a direct drive. The quick release is a tried and tested system already adopted by some other brands and provides a tight secure connection without any flex or play, and the fact you can use your own wheels is another bonus feature I'm glad to see here. And being this is an off-the-shelf quick release, you can slap on a cheap wheel side quick release from AliExpress and away you go. That's exactly what I'm doing here. No expensive proprietary quick release to deal with or lockdown ecosystem. This is exactly what I want from a budget wheelbase to keep the costs down. The PXN WCS R2 wheel is a fairly generic looking design, neat and tidy. Despite the use of plastic for the button plate, it's stiff and doesn't creak. It's good to get the dual clutch inputs, and the carbon fibre paddles is a nice touch. Both the shifters and clutch paddles have a good tactile feel to them. The buttons are good quality. They appear to be the same ones Moser uses on some of their wheels. The rotor encoders feature metal dials. All in all, this is a decent wheel. The only negative I found is the shift light indicator was only working in one game, ACC specifically. For everything else, it's stuck as a static row of lights, so that's something PXN should look at updating in their software, possibly another factor of using these early drivers here, but time will tell. In the software, you can alter the backlit button colours. The buttons come pre-labelled. In-game you can map them to whatever function you like regardless, so I'm left baffled why in the software you can assign a different function as it has no bearing on mapping the in-game function. Though what could be useful, you can change the button input to a keyboard input. For some instances, if you're only able to map an in-game function to a keyboard press, then this will be the workaround. We have some basic options for the shift light indicator here too. And lastly, for the clutch paddles, we can adjust the biting point using the slider. If you prefer to operate the clutch paddles as independent mappable analog inputs, that's possible too. If for instance you want to use one of them as the handbrake, use this option. On paper, the Wheelbase motor specs look capable: a low inertia 20-pole servo motor, segmented stator core, 10 Nm constant and 12 Nm peak torque outputs, plus a 24-bit magnetic encoder. Okay, there's a lot of jargon there that could sound meaningless. So in brief, low inertia motors are designed for quick acceleration and deceleration. The poles refer to the magnetic poles. A 2-pole electric motor has a single north and south pole, therefore a 20-pole motor has 10 north and 10 south poles arranged around the motor. A greater number of poles increases the torque at low speeds, is more energy efficient, and reduces motor cogging. The segmented stator core is a motor component made up of uniform individually segmented sections that enhances energy efficiency, torque density, and reliability. You'll already be familiar with motor torque. There are two metrics, constant and peak. Constant torque is the baseline output the motor is able to sustain at all times. Peak torque is the maximum output it's able to reach for short periods. And lastly, the magnetic encoder. That detects the precise rotational position and also used to control the output. Considerate the resolution. The more bits is always better. 24-bit is around 16.7 million positions. These all sound like positive attributes, but I'm certainly not an expert, I'm not an engineer. But I have reviewed a whole lot of wheelbases though, and when I conduct my tests, a factor I'm considering constantly is price to performance. Is it demonstrating the level of performance for its given price points versus my previous experience of other products? And the PXN VD10 exceeds my expectations by quite a margin. I feel like I'm using a more expensive wheelbase than what this is priced for. For starters, the 12 Nm peak torque is plenty. In my opinion, 10 to 12 Nm wheelbases are the sweet spot. Anything higher is kind of like paying more for the privilege and somewhat diminishing returns. Typically, with the VD10, my in-game force feedback is set no higher than 70%. At this level, it's still strong and still leaves some power in reserve. Force feedback clipping is something you don't need to worry about here. The wheelbase has a built-in temperature sensor. The reading can be observed in the software. On a hot day while filming some of this footage, my room temperature hit up to 30 degrees C. The sensor reported 42 degrees centigrade, 12 degrees over ambient. On cooler days, lower wheelbase temperatures were also shown. I don't think overheating should be a problem here. PXN claimed the VD10 is cog-free, and I would agree. I found the delivery of the force feedback was consistent and smooth without any ripples. Being that this wheelbase is packing a decently robust motor, the VD10 easily handles strong force feedback effects like curbs, collisions, and turning counterforce weight resistance. These sensations are packed with texture and detail, all very good, and no less capable than more powerful wheelbases I have. The low inertia of the motor is noticeable. When I feel the rear end about to step out, I'm instinctively catching it and making corrections before any disaster. So it's clear to me the wheelbase is delivering effects quickly and feeding through subtle changes of those effects. This is really important when driving powerful cars that can easily throw the back end out if you lay down the power too eagerly in the low gears. I'm driving with total confidence here, and the force feedback is communicating all the stuff I need to feel the car and test the limits. The sense of grip through the wheel is excellent. What I find especially impressive about the VD10 is how sensitive it is. This is something that varies from wheelbase to wheelbase, the capacity to tap into the delicate nuanced effects being output from the game. And this is where the fidelity of the VD10 is able to compete alongside the premium wheelbases I've reviewed. I find the best test for this is ACC, a title that can feel bland when it comes to some of the delicate force feedback elements and feel of the tyre grip. And only when I'm running a wheelbase with exceptional fidelity, the cars really come alive in this game. The Logitech G Pro and SimMagic Evo Pro wheelbases are the only other standout wheelbases that extracts the most out of ACC for me. And note that those wheelbases are substantially more expensive than the VD10. The last wheelbase I reviewed and had installed was the SimMagic Evo Pro, so I have recent memories on that one. An amazing high-end piece of kit, and the Evo Pro does outperform the VD10, but the margin is surprisingly slim when it comes to the quality of the force feedback. And considering the large price difference, that makes the VD10 ridiculously cheap for this level of capability. It is outstanding. It's able to extract a ton of detail consistently from every racing game I ran, from the track texture, car suspension, weight transfer motion and curbs, everything you care to mention regarding force feedback cues. It's full marks all round. I feel completely connected with every car. When I review hardware, I always get asked this same question: how does this compare to this other product or that other product? And I can tell you with confidence here, the VD10 is going to win most of the time because of the incredible price and high-end performance. This is a wheelbase that does put a lot of more expensive competitors to shame. That is simply a fact of the matter. The only weakness I can find is the VD10 is PC only compatible, so console racers will need to look elsewhere, and the PXN ecosystem could do with a greater selection of wheel options, and their best pedal set they manufacture is quite basic. In fact, it doesn't even have a load cell brake. Fortunately, PC sim racers can overcome this and add into the mix pedals from other brands. Plus, as I already demonstrated, you can use third-party wheels, so there's nothing here that limits the potential of your sim rig build if you go with the VD10. To get the most out of this hobby, in fact, you should be prepared to have a setup of mixed brands, piecing together your perfect sim racing setup. And in my opinion, that's one of the aspects I thoroughly enjoy about PC sim racing. Owning a custom built arrangement I can tinker with, and the VD10 is a great starting point for that. I sincerely hope this is a huge success for PXN. They completely deserve it, and if they can maintain this low price, these things should fly off the shelf. The PXN VD10 is one of the best wheelbases I've tested in all the years I've operated this channel, and currently, as I'm about to sign off, it's by far the best budget direct drive wheelbase I've had the pleasure to review.